Ever wondered how to prepare export documentation in compliance with RBI and FEMA guidelines? Well, let's demystify it together. Export documentation is a critical component of international trade. It's a paper trail that validates the legality, quality, and ownership of goods being shipped across borders. Now, why is this important? Well, incorrect and incomplete documentation can lead to shipment delays, financial losses, and potential legal issues. Plus, in India, exporters must adhere to guidelines set by Reserve Bank of India and the Foreign Exchange Management Act. These guidelines ensure transparency, protect national interest, and maintain the financial stability of the country. So, as you can see, mastering the art of preparing export documentation is no small feat. It requires a keen understanding of regulations, meticulous attention to detail, and a whole lot of patience. But don't worry, we have got you covered. So, without further ado, let's dive into the step by step process of preparing export documentation. Preparing export documentation in compliance with RBI and FEMA guidelines involves several steps. The first step is to obtain an importer exporter code or IEC from the Directorate of General Foreign Trade. This 10-digit code is mandatory for all import and export transactions. Next, you will need to establish a sales contract or receive a purchase order from the overseas buyer. This document outlines the terms and conditions of the export transaction. Then prepare a commercial invoice detailing the goods or services being exported, their quantity, value, and other relevant information. Keep in mind that your invoice must comply with RBI guidelines. Following this, create a packing list. This should specify the contents, dimensions, weight, and packaging details of each package being shipped. Now, you must submit an export declaration form or EDF. This can be done through the customs online portal or authorized banks. This form declares your intention to export and provide details of shipment. Generate a shipping bill through Indian Customs Electronic Data Interchange System or Customs Broker. This document serves as a custom declaration and facilitates the movement of goods out of India. Remember to comply with FEMA regulations regarding the export of goods and services. Next, obtain necessary clearances from customs authorities. You will need to submit required documents including the shipping bill, invoice, packing list, and other relevant certificates. If applicable, obtain a certificate of origin from authorized agencies confirming the country of origin of goods. This document may be required to claim preferential tariffs under trade agreements. Don't forget to obtain an insurance certificate to cover the goods during transit. This is particularly important for international shipments to mitigate the risk of loss or damage. Complete any bank related documentation required for export transactions. This includes obtaining a foreign exchange realization certificate after receipt of payment from the overseas buyer. Ensure compliance with RBI and FEMA regulations throughout the export process. This includes adherence of the foreign exchange control regulations, repatriation of export proceeds, and reporting requirements. Lastly, maintain accurate records of all export documentation and transactions as per regulatory requirements. These will be crucial for future reference and audit purposes. By following these steps and adhering to the RBI and FEMA guidelines, exporters can effectively prepare export documentation while ensuring regulatory compliance. So, recap: the process of preparing export documentation involves a series of steps that must be performed in compliance with RBI and FEMA guidelines. It's all begin with obtaining your importer exporter code, followed by establishing a sales contract or receiving a purchase order. Then you need to prepare an invoice as per RBI guidelines, create a packing list, and submit an export declaration form. Generate a shipping bill and ensure you have all necessary customs clearances if applicable. Secure a certificate of origin and insurance certificate to cover your goods during transit. Complete any bank related documentation and always ensure compliance with RBI and FEMA regulations. Lastly, keep meticulous records of all documentation and transactions for future reference and audits. By adhering to these steps, you can effectively prepare export documentation while ensuring regulatory compliance. We hope this video has been helpful. If you found it informative, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more insightful videos. Thank you for watching.